Hey y'all, what's up? I'm back, and today we are going to be talking about my October reads. This is my October wrap-up. So without further ado, let's just get right on into the video. So to start off this video, I read a total of 5 books in the month of October. I did read some longer books this month, so my page count was like about normal, average, I guess, for like my average page count per month. But yeah, let's just get right on into it. The first book that I have to share with you is Iron Widow by Siren J. Zhao. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce their name, but I'm not 100%. So if I mispronounce their name, I apologize. This is, I feel like, a really hyped YA fantasy from like, I think it was 2021. And basically we're following this girl who in the world that she lives in, there are these like huge like transformer-like machines that basically there's like a pilot in them, a male pilot, and then there's a female pilot like counterpart, and these huge machines rely on chi in order to power them. And so basically what ends up happening with the male and the female is that the male pilot is like the dominant one and the female pilot is the subordinate one, and more often than not the female pilot ends up dying because like her entire chi is like used during these battles that they use these transformers for. Basically their planet is like under attack by these like, I forget what they're called, these chrysalises, and they're trying to protect their land as well as siege back some land that they lost. Anyways, long story short, the main character, she had an older sister who was one of these female pilots that died, and so she makes it her life mission to become the female pilot to the pilot that killed her sister. And that just like kind of jumpstarts the plot. I thought that was like what the whole book was going to be about. No, that was just like the beginning. So this goes really in depth into like world building and character development, character relationships, stuff like that. It was really interesting, but I don't think it's something that I normally pick up. I don't normally read like high fantasy books like this. Ultimately, I believe I gave it like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I liked it. I thought it was enjoyable. I'd recommend it. But it is a series, and I don't think I enjoyed it enough to continue on with the series. The way it ended, I was just like, okay. Like I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. I was just like, okay, like I don't know. It doesn't really entice me to continue reading. So those are my feelings on this one. Also, my dog is here, if you can see her. That's her. The next book that I read is also a part of a series, I guess. This is Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herring Blake. This book is a part of like a romance series, so they're more like companion novels rather than a series that you read chronologically. But anyways, this is the companion sequel, I guess, to Delilah Green Doesn't Care. And this is about Delilah Green's stepsister, Astrid Parker. And basically, like, the premise of this is that Astrid Parker finds love after canceling her wedding. She was originally getting married to a man, and now the relationship that's in this is like a sapphic relationship. And you're like, oh my gosh, the drama. It was really good. I really loved it. I really like Ashley Herring Blake's writing as well as like her characterization. I feel like the characters were really relatable, and the struggles they were going through were very realistic, and I really enjoyed that about this book. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. I really loved Delilah Green Doesn't Care. Like, that was a 5-star book for me. This one wasn't as like 5-star favorite as Delilah Green. I really enjoyed the topics that were discussed in this in terms of like grief and healing from grief and how that grief manifests in when you lose a partner and how that manifests and affects your children, and then the strained relationships that kind of form from unhealed grief, stuff like that, dealing with mother-daughter relationships, sister relationships. Like it was really good. So I highly recommend this one if you're looking for a fun but also very substantial, I don't know if that's the right word, like this has substance to it. But yeah, if you're looking for that kind of sapphic romance, I highly recommend this one. Next is one of my highly anticipated releases of this year, and this is Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. This is the same author as The Hacienda, and I loved that book. I thought it was so good. I gave it like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Amazing. Stellar. Loved it. Loved the vibes. So this is her second novel, and basically this is following Nena and Nestor. They are childhood best friends, and one night in their childhood they sneak out in order to find like gold or something like that. This is also set, I have to preface, this is set in Mexico in like the 1840s, I want to say. Yeah, in the 1840s during the Mexican-American War over the land of Texas. But so anyways, they sneak out at night, right? And while they sneak out, Nena gets attacked by a vampire. And Nestor brings her back to her house and they proclaim her dead. So Nestor runs away like immediately. Like he's just like, I can't deal with this. So he runs away. And 9 years later, we come back and Nestor is living his life as like basically a cowboy, traveling around, and he doesn't come back until 9 years after that night that they snuck out. He doesn't come back to where Nena lives until 1846, and they're grown at this point because 9 years have passed, you know, almost a decade. And Nestor comes back to find out that Nena is still alive. And he's like, what? And so it's kind of this like romance between them, as well as them trying to fight off the Yankees is what they call them, which is basically like the white Americans who are trying to fight over this land that is like Mexican land. So there's all these different components, as well as like throwing vampires into the mix. But I want to say that if you're going into this book expecting horror, vampires, and like that is the center of the story, that is not really what you're going to get. The center of the story, in my opinion, is the relationship between Nestor and Nena, as well as them kind of working through their issues in a sense. I gave this 4 stars. I thought it was great. I loved it, but I do recognize that there are some issues in this story, in the fact that like things are just kind of resolved so quickly in the end, and in my opinion were a little convenient for the plot to like be wrapped up very quickly. I don't know if that was the intention or not, but I just thought it could have had a better, well thought out ending. But yeah, I do recommend this book, but just don't go into it expecting like vampires everywhere and stuff like that, because that's not what you're gonna get. Second to last book. This is a very like popular book. It was all around BookTube the past couple years, I feel like, especially this author and like some of her other books as well, but I think this is her most popular book. This is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. So basically it's a pandemic story where like this huge pandemic wipes out the majority of the population, and like it follows a couple characters who are tied together by one person that they all encountered pre-pandemic. And basically you're following, part of the book is set pre-pandemic, so you see the backstory of like how these characters know this one character that they all know if that makes sense. So there are some chapters about that, but most of the story is about post-pandemic, where society has collapsed and basically there are tiny settlements all across like the continent. My camera cut off. But anyways, as I was saying, I don't know if they still call it North America, but basically like that continent of North America, there is this traveling symphony, I don't know if that's what they're called, that goes around performing Shakespeare. And it's literally just like a character study of like these different characters and how they are coping with this new world that they're living in. And it's not really about finding a cure for the pandemic, because like that's not what it's about. It's more so just about the characters and what they're going through. And I love a book like that. That is my bread and butter. I love, love, love books just about the characters and going through the motions. So I gave this 5 stars, loved it. If you like a book that is all about the characters and it's just kind of not really a strong plot, there is a plot but like not a super strong plot, then I highly recommend this one. Lastly, I have this chonker of a book. Like, look at how thick that book is. It's like over 500 pages long. This is The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. This is my first Kristen Hanna that I've ever read, and I know that she writes like primarily historical fiction, which is not really what I like to read, but I decided, purely because of the colors of the cover, I was like, it's time to read this. It looks like a fall book, so I'm gonna read it. So that's what I did. This is basically about this family, mom, dad, and their daughter, who are living in the United States, and basically it's around the 70s, I'm pretty sure. The father like fought in Vietnam, and like he comes back with severe PTSD and alcohol problems and stuff like that. So he can't hold down a job because of this, and they keep moving from place to place with no luck basically. And one day he gets a letter, I believe, where this guy that he served with in Vietnam is like, who he actually died, so it's like his father, I believe, who gets in contact with the dad of the family. Basically sends a letter saying, my son left you land in Alaska, so like if you want to come claim it, it's up here. And the dad's like, oh my gosh, this is a great idea, let's all move to Alaska. So they move to Alaska, and they move in like May, which is the beginning of their summer / spring, I don't know. And it's literally just about them adjusting to life in Alaska, as well as the strenuous relationship between the mom and the dad, how toxic it is, and how the daughter is trying to make a life of her own. And there's a lot that happens in this book, so I'm not going to spoil anything. But I just want to say, this book could have been like 100 pages shorter, and it would have packed the same punch, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of just dragged on in certain parts, and I think that what it wanted to say could have been said in fewer words. So for that reason, I gave it a 4 stars. I did really enjoy it, which I'm surprised at, because I don't, like I said, I don't normally read historical fiction. But yeah, this was pretty enjoyable. Just like I said, it was a bit long for my taste. And a lot happens. I did predict some of what happened, but then like other parts of it, I was like shocked at that happened. You know what I mean? So yeah, if you like Kristen Hanna, then I recommend that you read this one. It was a very interesting book. All right, y'all. Here are the 5 books that I read in the month of October. Let me know if you've read any of these books. And if you like them. And honestly, let me know what books you read in October. I'm nosy. I really want to know. I'm gonna put these down now. I think that's it for y'all. Leave a comment down below of any videos that you want to see from me. If you're interested in a reading vlog, let me know, because I'm very interested in creating a reading vlog. All my social media links will be linked down below. Instagram, TikTok, Storygraph, and Goodreads. Follow me down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.